Hello there, and Merry Christmas everyone. My name is Rue, and over the last 24 days I've been posting a custom Ninjago Dragons Rising advent calendar, showcasing in a short each day a custom build or minifigure that I had designed for the series. In this video, however, I'll be taking a look at the advent calendar as a whole, talking through all of the choices I made in the series, the overall style, and much more. So let's start by talking about the minifigures. Here are all of the custom minifigures and character builds that I designed for the series. As you might be able to see, the character selection is very heavy on the Ninja Team side of things, rather than the other supporting characters or villains. This is because I felt that if I was designing a whole new ninja suit collection, I kinda needed to include all 6 iconic ninjas, as well as Aaron and Sora, because they are very important to Ninjago Dragons Rising. Unfortunately, I didn't have room in the series to include Frack and Wildfire, as I needed to include some threats for the Ninja Team, and 9 minifigures is already more than LEGO would have included if this were an official LEGO set. As is, Zane had to be included as a mini-build to keep the minifigure count down. As this were going to be the case, I decided to utilise the opportunity to turn him into Buff Zane from the official combo mech. The design uses custom prints for faces and the heart, and can connect to mini builds that I created for Sora's jet and Pixel's car to create that combo mech design. The transformation to combine these models is basically just a simplified version of the official sets, just scaled down to fit the advent calendar scale. However, this did make the individual builds for Sora's jet and Pixel's car look a bit more janky than they otherwise could have been. Returning back to the character selection, we can take a look at the ninja suit design that I created for the other ninjas in the series. Most of these ninja suits are the same, just colour swapped, apart from a few exceptions that I'll discuss soon. However, the main design that was utilised on Lloyd, Kai, Nia and Cole, where this design is what you get when you fuse my graphic style with an elf, the Storm suit, the Ghost Hunter suit, and the mask piece from the merge suit, because I think it looks very much like a scarf, though not like the mashup of parts that I used on my 2023 advent calendar versions of these characters. I think that the design I came up with this year is quite a step up from what I made in 2023, though admittedly they were my first custom Ninjago minifigures, and I've had 2 years to improve upon my graphic style, and I have changed quite a bit about how I design my minifigure prints since then. I have even made a lot of changes since this video I made in April, so I may need to revisit that video concept in 2026. I'll add it to the list of videos that I want to make but haven't yet. As for the actual design of this year's ninja suits, hopefully you should be able to see some of the clear inspiration that I took from the Storm suit and Ghost Hunter suit, such as the strap on the torso and the fanny pack. The technological influence of the Storm suit continues into the elf collar that has been given a very techy look round front and back. The snowflake used on the back of the ninjas is a new graphic that I made, attempting to take the simple one I had used on the previous 2 Instagram advent calendar series and make it cooler. The legs on these minifigures are fairly simple and are meant to represent the stripy leggings that a lot of depictions of elves have. But I think all of these elements combine well into a ninja suit design that looks fresh, whilst calling back to a lot of existing designs. As I mentioned before, there are a few exceptions to this ninja suit design, being Aaron, Sora and Rogue. For Aaron's suit, I didn't think it'd be a good depiction of a Dragons Rising Season 3 advent calendar to just give him the standard ninja suit design, as he spends the entire season in a raggedy, much more evil suit design. Because of this, I decided to combine that design with an elf instead, though I went a step further by swapping the spray-painted dragon with the Grinch to really sell the corrupted elf angle. I'm not going to mention how long I spent creating this graphic, but I think it turned out great and works well on this minifigure design. Sora is a little more like her other ninja counterparts, just adding in a few extra details for her Ghost Hunter suit's second belt and speckled pattern, as Sora is special like that. She even has a different belt, fluff, and boots colour. Rogue has a completely different torso to the other ninja, where for this one I completely removed the elf influence, as I was keeping that specifically as a sort of ninja team design motif, which Rogue is not a part of yet. Instead, I went a different route by just using the official torso design and modifying it with Christmas additions to the outfit print, and a scarf which wraps around from front to back. Rogue also uses the standard half mask piece rather than the merge suit mask, as it allows for the addition of a neck attachment to attach Rogue's glider. The elephant in the room is this hairpiece, which is not an official part in those colours, but through a complicated procedure utilising Blender and Studio Part Designer, I managed to create the piece in show-accurate colours. I shan't delve into that in this video, because otherwise it could become up to 40 minutes longer, but it is the same process that I used for Sora's hairpiece and Nia's hairpiece that, in all my previous projects, had not had the bubble represented in a separate colour to the black plastic. The last two minifigures that I have to talk about are villains. We have Lee and Noct. Lee is probably the minifigure in the series that I put the least effort into, as the legs and face were created for a different project in September and just reused here, though the torso print is a new print to represent a Christmas jumper. Noct is probably the biggest departure from his official minifigure. This is because in the show, he has an additional variant for when his soul is removed as a spectral being, which got me thinking of what he would look like with a snowy theming. Hence, I made a design that recolours him into a snowman colour scheme, with added snow textures and buttons, as well as a new creepy face print that could also be used to represent spectral Noct. But like Noct, Thunderfang has also been redesigned into a snowy form. This mini build was quite difficult to build, as it is very rare for advent calendar builds to exceed 20 parts, and thus I was struggling to keep the part count down whilst still capturing Thunderfang's overall shape. The original plan was to use a design very similar to the one I created for a collab on Instagram, though that was much too big. Though I have seen since some advent calendars by other creators that definitely didn't take this consideration into account. But this is our character selection, and I've realised that I spent a lot of time talking about it, but there's a lot to talk about, as this is where a very large majority of the time I spent creating this series went. For other inclusions in this advent calendar, we have a number of mini builds, each focused around ninja training, each built into a snowy terrain. This terrain continues onto a few other builds as well, including this rock that is attached to a chain so that Thunderfang can be locked up by the 7 cosmic frogs! That's the second time that I've used that clip in a joke. I should stop. We also have a build for a portal gate that a minifigure can just about squeeze through, and an important location from the Dragon's Rising streaming show being the Well of the Lost, where Aaron gets the elixir that is used to defeat Thunderfang the first time, and which Thunderfang subsequently uses to power up with souls he has drained from the merged lands. On the more Christmassy side of things, I have a Christmas tree build that was purposefully designed to be as different as possible to my past tree builds, though there's not a lot of variation possible for an advent calendar style tree. But this year I decided to have a dark red tree rather than the blue or green of my previous two series trees, and I think it looks quite classy this way. I also built a pie cart, both as a way to add another classic advent calendar element, as I specifically remember getting one in a Lego City advent calendar as a child, but also as a reference to the pie cart that Sora uses to accidentally torture innocent people with the most disgusting pies anyone's ever tasted. The last build to mention is a mini build for the Temple Bounty, which isn't much to talk about, but continues the tradition of including the Destiny's Bounty in every advent calendar. I would have liked to have built more than just 3 vehicle mini builds. I had planned on making Aaron's jet, Lloyd's jet mech, as well as a potential Arc Dragon of Focus, but they all got cut from the series during the planning phase in early November, in favour of more builds that are more interactive with the series minifigures to create scenes such as the one on screen now. Other things that I debated including in the series include a minifigure of Rapton instead of Lee. He would have had his colourful hair from his freebooter design, alongside an Imperium suit of armour graffitied with Christmas designs. I chose to include Lee instead, as he's both more important to Dragon's Rising Season 3, and I really like Lee as a character, as well as concerns about how much time I would have to create the minifigure designs for the series. After I decided that Lee would be in the series instead of Rapton, I had thought of making a mini build for a house from the land of Lee, but this was one of the first ideas to be scrapped, alongside present builds, when I had too many build ideas to fit the 15 remaining slots after minifigures had been decided upon. I had also wanted to include Pixel in the series, but deemed her less important than the minifigures I ended up including in the final series. Sorry, Pixel. You'll be in a project next year, I promise. There was also a debate as to which Forbidden 5 minifigure should get the final minifigure spot. I never considered Kerr or Zarked for the series, though if I had gone for a masked up rogue design, I may have included Rox instead of Noct, as I would have already gone through the hassle of importing their shared hat piece into Studio. Though early prototypes for Rogue's head were looking pretty awful due to the glasses not translating well into a 2D design, so I made the choice to go with a design for Jay more in line with his look in the second half of Season 3, and hence the concept of including Rox was thrown out with that. Then came the choice between Drix and Noct, but I chose Noct as he's more important in the big picture of Dragon's Rising. But all that's to say that this is our final Advent calendar selection, and whilst it's cool to think about my original plans, I'm really happy with how the final thing turned out, and think it's my best Advent calendar series yet, despite the fact that it has majorly flopped on Instagram when compared to the series before it. I will be looking into why this was, however, the series has been the first where I've done daily short videos on TikTok and YouTube, and the series has performed well on these. Thank you so much for 100 subscribers over here. It means a lot to me that there are people who wanted to check out each passing day of the series, and I have been noticing repeat commenters on both here and TikTok. A special shout out to you. That brings the series to a close. Thanks for watching, and have a Merry Christmas.